Serena Williams stood on center court one last time, her body battered, her legacy already written in gold, and the world thought it knew everything about her. 23 Grand Slam titles. The greatest female tennis player of all time. The woman who changed the game, the culture, the very definition of power in women's sports. But what Serena carried inside, the truth she never said aloud, the thing everyone suspected but nobody could prove, was never about tennis at all. And now, at 44, she's finally letting the world see what it cost her to be the greatest. For most of her career, Serena projected an image of unbreakable strength. She didn't just win, she dominated. She didn't just compete, she crushed. Every serve was a statement, every point a declaration that she belonged in rooms that had never been built for someone who looked like her, grew up like her, or spoke like her. The world cheered. The sponsors lined up. The magazines called her fearless. But fearlessness isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to hide it. And Serena hid it better than anyone. Behind that steel exterior was a woman who spent years being punished for showing the same emotions that male champions were rewarded for. When John McEnroe smashed rackets, he was passionate. When Serena did the same, she was labeled unstable and aggressive. When male players fought with umpires, they were fierce competitors. When Serena defended herself against a bad call at the 2018 US Open final, she was fined, penalized, and called unprofessional in front of her own child. The double standard wasn't subtle, it was systemic. And Serena knew it. But she couldn't say it, not then. Because saying it would mean admitting something painful, that no matter how many trophies she won, she would always be judged by a different standard. And for a woman who built her entire identity on being undeniable, that was an impossible truth to swallow. But the real weight wasn't just the racism or the sexism, it was the loneliness. Serena traveled the world for 25 years, but she didn't have a life. She had a schedule. Training, flying, competing, recovering, repeating. While her peers went to prom, dated freely, took vacations, Serena woke up at 5 in the morning on a public tennis court in Compton with her father and a ball bucket. There was no childhood. There was only the mission. And when a mission consumes your entire life, it leaves very little room for the person underneath. That's what everyone suspected but couldn't prove, that the greatest athlete of her generation was also one of the most isolated. That the woman who seemed to have everything, the money, the fame, the husband, the baby girl, was carrying a quiet regret for the years she couldn't get back. The years she spent alone in hotel rooms, icing her knees, wondering what it would feel like to be just Serena, not Serena Williams, the brand, the legend, the icon. In 2022, when she announced she was evolving away from tennis, the world treated it as retirement. But the word she chose was deliberate. Evolving. Not retiring. Because Serena wasn't walking away from tennis, she was walking toward the life she never had time to build. The business deals, the fashion ventures, the venture capital firm, the production company, all of it wasn't just diversification. It was reconstruction. She was building an identity that existed outside of a tennis court for the first time since she was 3 years old. At 44, Serena has finally opened up about what those years actually felt like. The isolation. The pressure to be perfect in a world that wanted her to be anything but. The moment she realized that winning everything didn't mean she had everything. The truth that she carried, the one everyone suspected but nobody said out loud, was simply this: she was exhausted. Not physically, but existentially. She had spent her entire life proving she was enough, only to discover that the proving never ends. And perhaps that's the most honest thing any champion has ever admitted. That greatness doesn't feel like triumph. It feels like a debt you keep paying. And at some point, you have to decide whether the person you become is worth the person you had to sacrifice. Serena Williams didn't just change tennis. She survived it. And now, for the first time, she's allowed to just be.